I'm Miss Lacey, and I'm here to give you some piano parent tips. In this video, we're going to cover how you can pick a teacher for your child. I'll give you 5 tips on the process that you should go through to make sure your child has an excellent teacher and one that's a good fit for them. First, make sure that your teacher teaches the age group that your child is. Some teachers only teach kids, some teachers only teach adults, and some teachers teach only a certain age group as children or teens. So make sure that your teacher teaches your age group. The reason this is important is some teachers are really good at playing games with kids, engaging them, making sure that their tone is excellent for that child, making sure it's not too harsh and not too soft, so that that child understands that this is an amazing instrument that they can learn and that they can have a fun time doing it, and also that there are some expectations. If you're teaching a 3-year-old, for example, you're going to have much different expectations than if you're teaching a 12-year-old or a teenager. So make sure that your teacher teaches the age group that your child is and that is appropriate, has an appropriate tone for what they need. Next, the second tip I would say is make sure that they are a teacher that studies the type of music that you want your children to learn. You're going to want to make sure that if you want your children to learn classical piano, then you're going to want a classical piano teacher. Also, if you want them to learn jazz, then you're going to want a jazz piano teacher. Make sure that your teacher aligns correctly. Piano can be so different in so many ways. Some teachers only teach advanced kids, and some teachers will teach beginners. So make sure that the style and level of play is what your child needs. Additionally, the third tip is make sure that your teacher gives a well-rounded education. No matter their level of performance or their level of study, they should give a good, well-rounded education in music. Here's what that means. Your child should be receiving ear training, theory, also a good sense of history in their instrument. That is so that they can appreciate music as a language. Music should always be treated that way. And if we do, we can express ourselves and play and have fun, all while knowing that it's an expressive language and not just something we read on their score, that we can actually get outside of that as well and play. The fourth piano parent tip I would say for finding a teacher is make sure your child is comfortable with that teacher. Make sure that you can either give them a phone call before, meet them in person, or even do an online meet where you can meet them on the screen if you're taking online lessons, or if that teacher doesn't have that much time to meet you in person. Make sure that you have some way of meeting that teacher and introducing them to your child before you commit to a certain amount of time of study with that teacher. Here's why. Some teachers have a certain time slot availability in their studio, and they try to fill that slot and keep it full for a certain amount of time at least until you decide if this is something that is good for your child, if you're experimenting or not. Some teachers only have certain slots available. So in order to respect that teacher, you need to make sure you can commit to that time slot, that you can commit for the semester or half the year or the full year according to their studio policy. Now, if you have a teacher that has a studio policy, that's going to benefit you. You want to read through the studio policy thoroughly, and you want to make sure that anything you have questions on are answered, any questions, any kind of concerns you may have with payments or with the way the studios run or makeup lessons. Some teachers don't give makeup lessons. Some teachers give makeup lessons if they're sick, and some don't have a makeup policy that is as strict, and so they'll give you a makeup lesson if you go on vacation. So you want to make sure that you understand the policy in full before you commit to a certain amount of study with your teacher. I hope that these have been great tips for you. Let me know. Give it a thumbs up if you really liked this video, and I hope to be making some really soon for you in the future. Bye for now.